I don't even know where to begin. I feel like I'm in a place where I don't even know. It's just all fallen down. I can't look at anything in my life and say that it's secure, stable, that there's anything that I built that can't be knocked down with somebody. It's like they don't even have to be the big bad wolf. All they have to do is whistle and it all falls down. I I don't even know what happened exactly. I just like tower after tower after tower after tower. It was like they all came at and like I mean if it had been one or two, I've handled those before. I've weathered those storms. I've kept going, but I feel like I chose the wrong things to stick to. I chose the wrong people. I chose the wrong things to put my energy into. I overfocused on work. I ignored my family, my friends, you. And then, feminine, like when everything else was falling apart, I thought at least things are not falling apart with you. They're not going anywhere because I'm too scared to move forward with you, but they're not getting worse. And throughout this separation, you have always been there, always been consistent. It's so consistent even that I started looking myself in the mirror every day and telling myself the things that you used to say, that I'm good, that I'm worthy, that I deserve a good life, that I can do it, that I can get through it. And then spirit took you away from me too. And you changed and I didn't know what to do. You revealed feelings to me that to be honest, I thought maybe you'd found a way not to feel them, not to feel the darkness, the depression, the aching. I thought maybe it was just me. Maybe I was the one who missed you like a sun who's never seen a moon, and that somehow I don't know, you never really needed me in the first place, and then I used that as my reason for taking longer, for not coming closer, for, I don't know, just staying stuck. I've used so many excuses, so many, and then you started showing me that you did have feelings, that you had been waiting, that you had been open to all outcomes, and all you wanted was just a little bit of my time. And I realized I was giving you nothing. I mean, sure, I saw you sometimes. Sure, we texted sometimes, but I spent all that time wasting time complaining about these karmics, complaining about how bad my life was, and I never even thought to ask how yours was. Not until after you got mad at me, not until after you told me you give up, not until after you started laying down boundaries that I've never had with you before, not until after I realized that I had waited too long. And I mean, that felt bad enough, and it shook me in a way I really didn't expect it to. I expected you to do that long before you did. And stupidly, instead of getting to that moment and saying, please, no, please, I just need more time, I promise that I will come around, that I will be more attentive, I will ask about you, I will do what I need to do, I didn't. I didn't do any of those things, not actually to you. I swear that I said them to you in my head 1,000 times plus 10. But I never said them to you. I never texted them to you. And then of all things, when you started standing in your power, when you bossed up, when you said enough is enough, masculine, you come to me or you let me go all the way. And then that hit me in such a way I didn't know what to say or what to do. And I thought, at least if I say nothing, then nothing can be done. And then you started asking me to cut the strings, to lose the ties, to tie up the loose ends. Again, I did nothing. And I thought, at least I can be safe in this space. She doesn't see what's going on over here. She doesn't know I just need more time. And I cannot say because it might jinx me or something. Or maybe I'll get caught and not get free. And then you started cutting them yourself. You found the way. You put up the boundaries. You said the things. You said enough things to pull yourself away, to push me away, to get me reactive and angry enough to push you away more. And I felt stupid because it felt easier to push you away more than to just say, I love you. And I'm sorry. And then I did stupid things that definitely deserved genuine apologies, and I wanted to say them, but I couldn't. I couldn't say them and bring genuine change. And I remember all the times we've fought like that before, and I've said, I'm sorry, and I will change, and I won't do it anymore, and then I didn't. So many times so that you finally said, prove it, masculine. Give me a date, give me a time, give me a list of all the ways that you're going to make sure this changes. And I don't even know why. I don't know why I fought so hard. I don't know why I couldn't just do that. It wasn't that hard, but I made it hard. Then I ran and I put myself in this position where there are others now and complications, and I can't just come over and say, I love you and have it be done. I don't want to tell you I'm sorry until I can prove that I mean it. I don't want to hurt you anymore. And I thought that I would have more time, especially with how long you waited. I never expected you to wait this long. And then I didn't expect that. I should have expected it, feminine. You are far stronger than I have ever been. I know you didn't want this. I know you didn't want to cut things away. But I know that you're also right that it is not fair of me to hold on so tightly to you and push you away at the same time. I wish I had been honest. I wish I had told you the truth the whole time. That's what's been going through my mind. I feel like I've told you the truth in my head 1,000 times over, and then I see you in person and I treat you as if I have, and you tell me, masculine, you've told me nothing. I can only go by what my intuition says. And then I realize I never told you. I never told you that I love you. I never told you that I need you. I never told you how much I appreciate that you've been this rock in my life that I never expected to have. I never told you how much it hurt me. I never told you how scared I am. I never told you how bad it really is. And I never told you how much I appreciate that the few times that I have let you in and shown you the darkness I've been drowning in, that I didn't expect you to care that much. And that I loved that you did, but I also felt bad because you can't help me. I have to help myself. And I know I've known what I need to do, and I just have been avoiding it, procrastinating it away. And it's like I've been standing still since that day that I left, and the world has not waited. And you were, and now you're not. And I never expected it to hit me in the way that it did. And it's like you gave me every opportunity, every single one. And then one by one by one, you cut the strings. And then I felt like an even bigger jerk because I remember telling you that I wanted to move on. I remember making my problems far more important than yours, my feelings more important than yours. I remember saying those words, and I guess that I hoped that you would ignore them and know how stupid that was. And then as you cut away at the 3D and you told me about myself, that I needed to grow up, that my life was messy, that it was embarrassing to watch, I don't know, it just triggered something in me. I I felt a rage, and I want to say that it's like none that I've ever felt before, but I have felt it. I have just put it away. Let it come out in small little spurts, but never let it be the sword that I unsheath and cut myself away from all that has ever held me back. And when you did that, I felt it all come forth like I had no control over any of it, and I feel like my life has been a series of strings that have tied me up to be a puppet in the lives of so many others. And I just took that sword and I just cut clean through all of them, including the ones to you. And now I feel like a marionette who has hit the floor. No strings, no attachments, no nothing. And it's driving me nuts because in some way I feel like you knew that needed to happen. Like you knew that's what needed to be done. And you did it for both of us. And I also feel like this is my karma. I know it is. I know that all of this has been my karma for taking you for granted, for chasing after glitter and pretending it was gold when I knew that it wasn't, for believing that the grass was greener on the other side when I knew that it would only be greener where I watered it, and only if I wasn't with somebody who was constantly spraying poison all over it. I don't know, feminine. I think a lot of me, I've stayed away from you and stayed in these situations because behind me I can see a trail of failures, a trail of toxic relationships, a trail of dead end jobs, a trail, a tale of victimhood where I always blame everybody else and I set myself up so that I never have to make the choice. And then when someone else finally does, I'm angry at them instead of myself. And you said something the other day that made me realize I have never been alone, never truly. I have felt alone, even surrounded by others at times. Heck, when I left, I made sure that I was surrounded by lots and lots of people because I thought that maybe if I had enough people around me, no matter whether they were good or bad, that it would at least keep me distracted enough from the feeling I had that I only wanted to be with you. And it didn't work. I mean, and I've discovered recently that it wasn't just me stupidly surrounding myself by others, that these are people that saw us together and wanted us apart. And I realized, feminine, it took dozens of them to separate us, to get into my head and to keep us apart. And between them trying and me trying to avoid you, because I don't even know, I assumed that you were the trouble, that love was the trouble, that I don't even know. I don't understand my logic anymore, and none of it makes any sense. And now I find myself alone, more alone than I've ever been, and I'm still surrounded by these crazy people, and now all I can think about is all the time that you spent alone. I mean, yes, you have friends, something I still have yet to really understand, and yes, you take care of your family and our children, but you are independent. You broke the ties. You wrapped up the loose ends. And I know that you did not want to cut away the tie from me. And I know that I don't know. I feel like I need to do what you did. I need to be alone. I need to face myself. The one thing in all this time and decades of my life that I have never done and been most scared to do. I feel like maybe I feel like you knew that. I don't know how you could have, but you did. Of course, it seems silly. I don't know why I didn't know that. You've always known me better than anyone and most often better than myself. I don't know why I didn't see it coming. I guess I just thought it would happen sooner, and when it didn't, I got comfortable. And now that I've cut away all the strings and it feels like I'm that puppet on the floor now who has to learn how to pick himself up without anyone pulling any strings. And I'm watching as all the strings I cut away are unraveling and falling down beside me because no one wants to pick me up. And I don't want them to. I've always had somebody rescue me. I've always had somebody come in and say, no, do this, do that, do this, do that. I've never just made a choice for myself. I've never just lived for myself. And I feel like now that I've pushed you farther away than ever, it feels like it's when I need you the most. And now it just feels like you're a ghost in the wind, a memory, an apparition somewhere next to me whispering, listen to your intuition, follow your heart, do it for you, try something new that you've never done. And I don't know if that's real. I don't know if what we had was real. I don't know if everything I just cut away was the real stuff and that me thinking about you and feeling depressed about all this stuff that maybe that was the fake stuff and I just ruined my entire life because I got upset because I haven't healed my wounds because I let my ego control me. I don't know what is real right now and what isn't, and the only thing I know is that I can't think straight with anyone else around me telling me what they think is right, telling me telling me that everyone else is my enemy while they are sitting there stabbing me in the back and then refusing to even admit that they did so. I don't know, feminine. I don't know where this road goes. All I know is that everything is unraveling faster than I had expected it to, and I feel like a fool. A fool who's been chasing fool's gold for far too long, and now more than ever, I want to be that masculine that you have constantly tried to tell me that I am. I feel like in some ways, like, I don't know, I guess I watched you go from this feminine who had gone to this dark place with me into being someone I didn't recognize, and then you went back to being that sweet woman that I met, that sweet feminine, right back from the beginning. And you even mentioned it, like you knew, and like you chose that to be you. And now I feel like I want to be the me I was when I met you. Who wasn't worried about what other people think, who wasn't chasing nonsense, materialism, houses, things like that, who cared about music and art and love. In fact, I want to go back before that, back before we even met, back in the time when I wish I had met you first, before I went through curse after curse of karmic relationship. Because had we met then, I wouldn't have been through what I'd been through and wouldn't have punished you for what others did, wouldn't have held myself back, wouldn't have made this hot mess that I made. And I don't know, I remember a time when you told me that, that I could do that I could be that man, that I could heal enough, that it would almost be like I'd never been hurt, and I didn't believe you. Part of me didn't want to, and now I do more than anything. And I feel like I feel like I've got this list before me of all these things that you asked me to do that I fought tooth and nail to avoid doing at all costs. I did everything else, and I thought that I had built myself up a fortress that at least, I mean, on the inside it was horrible and dark, but at least on the outside it looked like I had my stuff together. And I assumed that I could at least keep that going and that it was better than admitting that I screwed up, better than collapsing in front of you and saying, I'm so sorry. I screwed up and I want it all back and I don't know how to start. And then all those towers came one by one by one. First through all the karmics, and then through work, and then even legally, and then my body fell apart, and then you. And I feel like in looking back, I saw all the signs. I feel like Spirit slapped me in the face so many times and said, Masculine, masculine, it is time to grow up. And no, that does not mean you give up on fun, but you do give up on these lies and these deceptions. Stop running from what you know you need to do and face yourself. It's time for you to get to know you. And I didn't listen. And I didn't listen. And I didn't listen. And somehow I guess I felt like if I didn't listen long enough that Spirit would stop saying that to me. That people would stop saying it to me, that the signs would stop coming, but instead they came faster. And as the towers started to come more and more, I saw even more of them. And nearly all of them were either things you told me or things that reminded me of you. I should have listened long before that happened. And then it all collapsed. Like my castle was only ever made of sand. And because I had rejected the cornerstones that you brought me, I had no foundation upon which to even begin to rebuild anything on when it all got knocked down. And now it feels like I need to make my own cornerstones. A process that I'm not even sure how to begin doing because I have run from it my whole life. Because I took for granted how many times somebody handed me theirs and continued to jump in karmic situations and relationships and to blame them and say it was their fault that I couldn't, that I never had the time, that I couldn't learn something new, that I was obligated to do what they asked me to do when I wasn't. How pretending to play hero when really I was the villain of my own story. And now I know what I must do. And I can tell that Spirit will not allow me to continue to do what I was doing. I cannot go back. There is no going back. And it's time to be done with baby steps. I must take adult steps now. I feel like I spent so much time telling myself that small steps were okay that I never learned to take the steps in the middle, and now I've got to learn to take adult steps when I'm not ready, but I have no one to blame for that. And I know that Spirit says I'm ready, and that if Spirit thinks I'm ready, then nothing. The writing is on the wall, feminine, and I can see it. Spirit says the time is now, and you cannot go back. You cannot keep these false foundations. You cannot stay connected to who you've stayed connected to. And if you do not leave them, we will take them from you. All and everything. Not just the bad stuff, the good stuff too. We will pull everything apart until your whole life is completely dismembered. And keep it that way until you choose. I've had visions and dreams that I didn't expect to have lately. I don't know where they're coming from, but all I keep seeing is that if I try to rebuild without doing what you asked me to, without learning to do it alone, that it'll just keep falling down. That it, like, no matter how many bricks I stack, someone will come and kick it over, or something will happen to piss me off and I'll kick it over myself. Just like I did with you. I hate that I didn't see it until now. That it's only just now that I saw how many times you built up a cornerstone for me. You even took your time. It's like you were teaching a children's class and saying, here, this is where this one goes. And the mortar goes under the stone. And you got to make sure it's a certain distance apart. And don't rush yourself. It's more an art than a science. And it's okay if a few pieces fall, but keep putting them on. Don't give up and don't focus on your failures. Focus on your successes. And yet I still stupidly I pushed you away. And I kicked it over myself. I had 5 good cups. And I kicked them over. All of them. And I saw the poison that was in a few of them coming from karmic friends who clearly never wanted me to be happy. And the minute that they got hint that I might be, even if I was only pretending, oh, they came in and made sure that those cups got poisoned. And stupidly, I made it okay. Said, oh, I'm not perfect. It's understandable. I can forgive that because I would want forgiveness. And then I tried to rebuild, like, but I never took the bricks. I never made the cornerstone. I just put sticks upon sticks and then blew my own house down. I don't know, feminine. I feel like I could go on and on and on about the mess and the misery. Though all I can think about is that I made such a mess that my own feminine is embarrassed of me. That my own feminine found it more honorable to cut away every string she had attached to me than to keep waiting.